The Docker is a containerization tool to create the containers we are going to use Docker. Okay. So then what is the difference between virtual machine and containers? The virtual machines will take more resources. Hypervisor is mandatory, and we require multiple virtual machines. We want to deploy multiple versions of the code. Whereas containers are very lightweight and easy to use them, and we are going to like very lightweight OS and binaries also is going to use multiple versions of the code also we can maintain. And in order to deploy the microservices, like Dockers are the best one, or containers are the best one to deploy the microservice kind of applications also. And we can easily scale up, scale down also, it can be done. Okay, so these are the advantages to go for the containers. Say if someone asks about what will be the limitations of the containers, then what you will tell? So we have a lot of advantages, but there are some limitations also. What may be those limitations of containers?
For the security purpose, sir.
Some security, we need to use the official images itself and scan those images before using. Next, it's a little complex initially. We need to understand that that is the reason we need to learn more Docker and Kubernetes, then we can support. Okay, so initially, like those who work on the Linux, Windows directly, they don't understand. So that is the reason we require good knowledge on Docker and Kubernetes, because one more layer has been added. And by default, the data inside the container is not secure. By default, the data inside the container is not, persistent, not secure, persistent. Hence, we need to attach volumes for that. And regarding the graphic applications, some restrictions are there, but now we have solutions for those also. The graphic kind of initially it supported only Linux, Windows applications, but now we are supporting even for graphics and Windows-based applications also. Okay, any doubts? So now, what is an image and container? Image is just a file kind of thing, which is having all the instructions how we can run the containers. Okay, so normally we'll have an ISO image. From that we can launch Windows 7, Windows 10. Otherwise, we have an AMI. From that we are going to launch the instances. In the same way, image Docker image is having the instructions how we can run the containers. And the container we are going to run like by assigning the CPU memory of the host mission, we are going to run the containers. So what is the command to run the container? Yesterday we created the containers, right? So what is the command to create the container? We can use Docker create is one command. Otherwise, we can use Docker run is there, Docker create. Do you understand those? Okay, so then what are the Docker components we have? So in the Docker architecture, so what are the components we have in the Docker architecture?
Docker CLI,
The Docker CLI, Docker daemon or engine we can call. So the Docker registry in our environment is Docker Hub. In our environment, that is Docker Hub. Okay, so what is the Docker CLI? What is the Docker CLI? It's a command line tool. We can run all the commands, all those. Okay, so then what is the Docker engine or Docker daemon is used to run the containers. So in order to run the containers, we are going to use
Docker daemon or engine.
the Docker daemon or okay, so Docker registry is having all the
The files.
okay. And yesterday I said to run the Docker as a non-root user. So what are the commands we need to? So we need to run one command. Say sudo that user. In our environment, who is like the username?
Docker.
No. Ubuntu or EC2-user is the username.
Yes, yes.
So we need to group add, and the user add that Docker. Okay, there we need to run those. Then like need to log off and log in again. Need to log off and log in. Okay, then
It will add Docker to the user groups.
yeah, without having the sudo also we can run those commands. Yesterday we created one Tomcat container, right? Can you tell me the command to create the Tomcat container? Docker run.
Hyphen name.
So my Tomcat is the
Container name, sir.
container name. Whatever the name, unique name should be given. -p is a publish port. What is a -d?
Detach mode, sir.
If you don't give -d, what happens?
It will run in the foreground, sir.
It will run in the foreground. It's not recommended in the background itself create. Then we need to give the image name. So what is the image name is say Tomcat 7, Tomcat 9 like this we can give. Okay, so then host port is 8080. So we are accessing the container using the host port 8080. It would be forwarded to 8080 port internally again in the container that is accessing in 8080. Okay, so if I run one more container, I'll give my Tomcat 1. I can't give again 8080 in the host because it will get duplicate kind of thing. It will get duplicate, but internal container port may be 8080. Here two containers, so two are in two isolated environments. That is the reason we'll give 8080 internally Tomcat port. So here Tomcat 9 can I give?
Yes, sir.
Yes, two different versions or same versions also we can run the two containers. Okay, so now here we can access that container using the host port like 8081. It would be redirected to the new container 8080 port is going to redirect. Any doubts on that? -p is port forward or publish port. -p is publish port. Yeah, any doubts on that?
So can you please explain the last line, sir? What 8081?
Come again?
Can you please explain the last line, sir? The host port 8081 is redirected to 8080.
Yeah, actually from the host side we require a unique IP. We shouldn't have the duplicate IPs. That is the reason we are assigning one individual IP to the container, and internally again it is communicating through 8080 itself. If it is Nginx, I'll create one Nginx container. The Nginx port is internally 80 itself, but outside I'm going to access it through
8082.
Okay, so if that IP address colon 8082 if access in the container,
It will be
redirects to access from the 80 port itself. It's going to access from the
82.
80 port. If it is Tomcat, we are going to give 8080. That in the Docker, we have already that port has been open. Using that itself, we are accessing the application. Yeah. Any doubts on this? So then we'll create all this. I have updated and installed the Docker also. I have started the service. Enable the Docker. Then I said, right, we don't want to run as the sudo kind of thing. Then sudo Docker group. I'm going to add the user. Current user is Ubuntu. Say here still I'm getting that permission issue, right? What I need to do now? I need to close this session again, reconnect. Then without giving the sudo also, those commands are running. Okay, so now here with the why I given Ubuntu is my current user is here Ubuntu. Otherwise, directly we can use this environment variable also. Then I'm going to run this command. Now I no need to give the sudo for this. Tomcat 9 is not there. It is downloading the Tomcat 9 image. No need of sudo also. The Docker PS will show us.
Running container.
Yeah, PS will show the running containers. Images will show us what are the images we have downloaded. Now I can check that whether that page is opening or not. Here this page is nothing but Tomcat page. Okay, so the Tomcat somewhere it would be Tomcat 9.0.79. Yesterday we seen that in the browser, right? But I'm checking in the Linux machine itself. For the testing purpose also, we'll use the curl kind of command. Developers, instead of going again to the web page and checking that, they'll check that whether that page is opening or not through curl command itself. Then I'll run one more container. Okay, then localhost 8081, that is listening. Then I'll try to run here 8081 itself, Nginx also, then it won't create. It tells a port having a conflict. So try to see. It's downloading the image. But here error response because driver failed programming external connectivity. Bind port is already
Allocated.
port has been already allocated. That is the reason we are not going to get it. So that container is even is not running also. But in ps-a we have that container I want to remove. Then can you tell me the command?
Docker rm. Sir.
Docker rm. Say here
Container.
Linux is there, right? That I am going to remove. That container got deleted. Then I'll give available port and try to run this. This is running. I'll go to instance. I'll open the security groups.
Srikanth, you have created an instance in a different AWS account, not this one.
No, no, that is an IAM user.
Okay, okay.
So now log in as a root user. I'm opening almost 11 ports. Okay, so now so we can open that page using Nginx page. We can open through the 8082. Okay, if I give here 80, it won't open. Okay, say 80822, it again in that container, it's forwarded to. I'll create one more container now with the 8083. I'll give. And name also, we shouldn't give the duplicate. My Nginx one. This we can access through. And if I remove that container, this container is running, right? It won't allow to remove. Then what we need to do? We need to stop it and need to
Then
remove.
remove.
Otherwise, what is that?
Force, sir. Hyphen F.
Forcefully we can remove. The best practice is stop it and remove. Stop it and remove. Otherwise, hyphen F, forcefully we need to remove that. Forcefully
Will remove.
remove. So then, if I remove that container, can I do this? Can I assign to another container that host port?
Yes, sir.
Yes, because if the container has been removed, that port has been released. So we can run it. And now 8083, we are getting the Tomcat one. Okay. Any doubts on this? Any doubts?
No, Srikanth.
Like this, we can assign the ports. Okay. So now I have my Nginx. We have a container, right? My Nginx or my Tomcat. Everyone need to do this. How to enter inside the container? How to enter inside the container? We can enter inside the container using sorry, exec-it. Okay, so what is the meaning of exec? We are making executable it interactive tty shell. Okay, container id or name, then bin bash. So what this command will do, we have in the Linux shell, we want to enter inside the
Containers.
container. We want to go inside the container. Assume we have in the hall now, we want to go to inside one container is running. It's an internal room. To that we want to enter. So what is the command for this? What is the command to enter inside the container?
Sudo docker execute
Yeah, docker exec
-it container ID name bash /bash bin.
Yeah, so bin bash. In the bash mode, we are entering inside the container. To the bash mode, we are entering inside the container. Okay, so now I'll copy this command. I'll try to run. Yeah, I will enter into my Tomcat one or my Tomcat we have. Sudo docker exec -it. Either ID also we can give my Tomcat bin bash. Okay, so then these all the files are inside your container. These all the files. If I exit again, I came back to
Home directory.
like normal my Ubuntu. But if I run this command, I'm in the inside the container. What is that path of that? So user local Tomcat. So that is called as like working directory. That is called as
Working directory.
working directory. Okay, in this we have the files like maybe CD web apps. Normally in the web apps we'll have a lot of files. Here they didn't keep any web apps files. Why they didn't kept is to reduce the size of the Docker image very less. They didn't kept any files. Okay, so what is the advantage of keeping the Docker image very lightweight? What is the advantage? What is the advantage of keeping the Docker image lightweight?
It will execute fastly or open fastly.
There will be some thousands of people would be using that image, right? That is the reason they're keeping very lightweight. Only important binaries only they're keeping. Okay, so now I want to run my, I want to copy some file inside the container. I want to. So normally if you want to copy from Windows to Linux, what we use?
WinSCP, sir.
WinSCP. You want to copy Linux to Linux, we'll have the commands like SCP kind of commands. But now from where to where we need to copy the files?
Linux to
Linux
container, sir. Container.
to container, we need to copy the files. So Linux to container, we need to copy the files. Okay, so now try to understand. I'll download one WAR file. So here I have jenkins.var. It is in local directory in my Linux mission. I want to copy this inside the
Container.
yeah. The docker cp is the command. What is that?
Docker CP.
Cp. Okay. Source is this jenkins.var. Destination is so what is that? My Tomcat.
Container ID.
No, that is the name of that. Container ID is different. Container ID is different. And in this, the path is user local tomcat / web apps. Okay, so what is that? That is the path where we need to copy in the destination server. Do you understand? My Tomcat is your container. In that, we need to copy to user local Tomcat
Web apps. Okay.
web app. Now I'll go inside the container and I'll check whether that file is copied or not. Can you tell me what is the command? What is the command?
CD. Okay.
Hyphen IT.
-IT.
Container needs
The container ID or name.
hyphen bin hyphen bash.
This we enter inside the container, right? In this web app folder, we copied.
Web app. You have given apps. Hmm. So Tomcat and my Tomcat both are same, sir?
No. Tomcat is internally the directory name. My
Okay.
Tomcat is only the container name. You
Oh,
can give any, but whatever the container is there, user local Tomcat is the default path, just like where www.html will use, right, to copy the HTML files.
okay.
Here web apps we need to use, I think. I copied to web apps now. So here we are getting that Jenkins.war file or not?
Yes, sir.
And what happened that is, whatever the var file you will keep in the web app, and Jenkins automatically will extract that var file. Then we got automatically this Jenkins. Okay, then what is the port number? For my Tomcat, I think we given 8080 itself. Slash. That application we are going to open. Then this application is opening or not?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I hope you understand that why we need to use the Docker CP.
Yeah, to copy the files.
To copy the files from
Linux to Docker
container.
containers.
And this password also inside the container itself we need to run. From outside we can't run. Inside the container we need to run. Excuse me. Okay, just for example, I took the var file to copy that. Any var file we can deploy. But if you use Tomcat 10 and copy, this is not running because that Jenkins is compatible with the Tomcat 9 only. You take Tomcat 10 image and try to do the same steps. What I'm trying to do is, we need to get the ease of accessing that container, checking the logs, go inside the container, check the monitoring. So these all, I said one of the challenge, right? We don't understand. So we are trying to resolve that problem. We're trying to resolve that problem. So that's hence copy, create multiple containers and start, restart. Okay, go inside the container, check the files, copy the files. Then what we'll do is try to understand. So now here we have one file called logs, right? One folder is there called logs. Excuse me. User local Tomcat, we have logs. Docker CP user local Tomcat logs. Can you tell me what this will do?
It would show us the history, sir.
Source is inside the container. Destination is locally we have. So here that logs directory created. Okay, all those files have been
Copied, sir.
copied locally. Then I have almost how many containers are running? Around 4 containers are running. I want to remove all these containers as a single shot. If I want to run, I need to run 4 commands, but I want to run as a single shot. Try to understand. Okay, so what is this is Docker PS -a is all. Q means quiet. Only quiet will display only those IDs only. Now if I check, all the containers are deleted. So if I want to remove all the containers, why I use an -f? All
Source.
containers also deleted. If I don't use -f, what happens?
Only non-running containers will be deleted.
Further, we have one more command is that docker prune, prune also we can use. Okay, now can you tell me how to delete all the images? So in the same way, docker rmi. So do you understand that? A is not required. -q is it displays
sir.
that IDs only. Then it pass all the IDs and that first command will remove all the commands, all the containers. Is it fine? Then we need to check the logs of the container. So we have removed that container. That is the reason it's not showing any logs. Again, I'll create a new container. That image also got deleted, right? That is the reason again it's going to download. Yesterday I asked the path of where that image is getting downloaded. As the path where that image is getting downloaded. Okay, so then the my nginx that logs will show inside what's happening in the container. We no need to go inside that. We can check the logs. And Docker top, how much resource utilization is there? All those we can get it through Docker top. Okay, normal top command will show for the Linux mission. But if you want for the container, then that is going to show for the container log, container monitoring we are going to get. And Docker stats will show us like for all the containers it displays. Top is only for one container it displays. Okay, and remaining all what are the remaining commands we have also we'll see in the next classes. We use most of the commands, but try to use other also, like easily we can use search, we can use rename, try to do. Okay, pass and unpass, try to do, kill the container, info check, and another command is there, sudo docker inspect. Our container name is my nginx. Inspect will show lot of information. So try to check each and every information. Normally PS will show only that container, but inspect will show each and every information regarding that container. Inspect will show each and every instruction regarding the container. Copy and exec, inspect, logs, stats. Okay, so we'll use for the troubleshooting purpose also. Okay, any doubts? Hello?
Yeah, no,
No,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so try to do till this, and I shared one video also that is around Docker related. Just go through that video also once. It's around 3 to 4 hours video. Try to go through that video also once. Okay.
Okay, sir.